How did you start actually? Like, what's the story behind it?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I guess I got started in the online space back in 2017. So I took more of I feel like a lot of people in our space are, college dropouts or didn't go to school or anything. Um, I took more of a traditional path. I was a tennis player back in the day, played
Yeah,
college tennis, played a little bit professionally, and then kind of went more of the traditional corporate route. I got a job at a firm called Accenture. It's one of the top management consulting firms in the world. Spent 3 years like just busting my ass in college to get this like kind of highly prestigious job at a top
mhm.
firm. And I get in there, you know, and literally like week one, I'm just like, fuck this shit. I hate it. It's like, I hate every second of it. I hate the people. The
Yeah,
work is so boring. You're basically like getting paid 90 grand a year to make PowerPoints and spreadsheets.
shit.
Um, and it wasn't for me. So I was immediately like a month in the job just looking into options. So I actually stumbled upon drop shipping and started making like Shopify stores, started selling a bunch of products online. Didn't really work for me first 2 years, but quit drop shipping. Or I mean, quit Accenture and went to work in sales because like when I was doing marketing for my drop shipping stores, I realized like okay, I might as well learn sales too because everyone says you should learn sales and marketing. So worked as a sales rep for a couple of years at a startup. Then actually my drop shipping stores started to take off in like late 2019. And if you're following the timelines there, really good timeline. Quit my job in January of 2020 to go all in on my e-commerce stores. And then literally 2 weeks later, COVID hits and, I can't get product in from China. I'd sold
Oh,
like thousands of dollars worth of stuff and had to refund the whole thing, took a huge hit. And on top of that, no one in the US is hiring, so I can't get a job. So I'm just like kind of sitting there, doing nothing for 6 months, living in my New York apartment. But yeah, that was kind of the entry point to it. So
shit. That must have been an expensive 6 months.
yeah, dude, I mean, I was 25 at the time. I lost about 50 grand in 6 months,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
was not everything I had, but it was like
It's a good chunk.
95% of what I had. So
Yeah. It's interesting. Like I don't think we have spoken a lot before, but I've heard your names many, many times, either from clients or people I know, and everyone always spoke very, very highly of you. I'm just
yeah.
curious, like, how did you go from the drop shipping to like the fractional CMO you are today?
Yeah, so it was a bit of a roundabout path. I mean, back in 2020, I was just kind of hustling. I was making no money, made 32 grand in 2020, and living in New York, by the way, that's very, very expensive place to live. So, I was just kind of hustling, taking random little jobs here and there, took roles of closer, and then became a setter because I wasn't on ads. So
Hmm.
I'm sitting there like as a setter, trying to just bring deals in. And actually, like the CMO for our company, his name is Mark Coulter, a really great guy, big mentor for me. um, he saw some of my like two-step posts in our Facebook group, and he's like, "Oh, dude, your copy is like pretty good. You want to come be a
Yeah.
copywriter for me?" And I was a little bit hesitant because I was like, I'm a setter. I want to go back to being a closer. A lot of these closers like do pretty well for themselves, but I decided like, all right, let's just go try being a copywriter. It's like more steady money, and I actually really liked it. I was naturally like pretty good at it. I'd say
Hmm.
it just came very naturally for me and worked as a copywriter under Mark for about 2 years. Then I ended up going to work for Cole Gordon's team, was Cole's head copywriter for a little while at Closers.io and
Oh,
learned
shit.
a ton there. Like their team is dialed. Like they are very, very good operators. So, I mean, I think becoming a CMO is kind of tough. There isn't really like a direct path to it. I
Yeah.
think the only real way is to work under good CMOs, like worked under Mark Coulter directly, worked under Cole Gordon directly, and then broke off from that, and then just kind of, figured, all right, I can do like the majority of this, so let's just go be a fractional CMO and start bringing in some clients from there. So.
What exactly is it to you what a CMO is supposed to do? Because I see a lot of marketers or copywriters that like want to be a CMO, but it's a
Yeah.
totally different thing than just writing the copy. So what exactly is your day to day? What does it look like?
Yeah, that's a good question. I do think a lot of people are confused about that and also not really equipped for it for
Hmm.
a variety of different reasons. But I think a CMO's role is really two things. You're responsible for marketing and all of marketing, like anything related to lead volume and lead quality, that falls on you. So anything marketing related, you're leading the ship there. But the second part, which I think is actually the more difficult part, is you're also like C-suite. You're one of the owners of the company or leaders of the company. So not only are you running marketing, but you're responsible for like the business at a high level. So, for example, this past year, every morning, 9:30 a.m., we had like a leadership team meeting. It's me, my CEO, my COO, and director of sales.
Hmm.
So you're making kind of decisions for the whole business. So you really have to do both sides in that
Yeah,
case.
very interesting. And when you look at the leads and stuff, like, because personally, I feel like within marketing, there's so many different platforms, different things you could be doing. How do you decide what to prioritize as of right now?
Yeah, I mean, for me, a lot of it comes down to strengths.
Hmm.
Like you're an IG organic guy. You know, um, if if I was walking into like your company, for example, or one of your clients' companies, I'd probably center everything around IG organic. Get as many people as possible following the IG and center the sales team surrounding that. Versus I'm really more of like a paid ads guy,
Hmm.
especially on a brand new company. Like a lot of times we don't have a big IG, and if we want to build one, it's going to take time. So
Yeah.
I'm more of just like rip paid ads, rip email, get the sales team in place. But again, a lot of it comes down to like what is the company already good at? You know, I had a CMO deal about 2 years ago. These guys weren't the greatest at paid ads, but in the online fitness space, like really crushed it in IG DMs. So
Hmm.
in that case, like I was running a lot of DM ads, for example, because that grows the page. Um, all of the email automations, everything's like pushing towards the IG. So kind
Yeah.
of depends, I'd say.
Gotcha. And when you look at the team, like, do you also look at their strengths and weaknesses? Because to me, I feel like you need to be more like a visionary. You need to be able to really be really, really good at leading the team and like delegating everything. You just have the bigger picture of it all.
Yeah, I mean, delegation's like super important. It's also hard, Um, hiring marketers specifically, it's not an easy category of people to hire. Like working with copywriters, it's just not easy people to work with. Media buyers are just crazy. A lot of times they don't know how to think. A lot of content guys, it's like I think they also don't know how to think a lot of times. So you have to delegate. You have to kind of guide the ship. You got to make sure everything just gets done, basically, which is harder than it sounds, I will say.
Yeah, what I noticed is that like finding people is very easy. You can always hire someone. Finding the right person is extremely hard.
Yeah.
Um, for example, one of my struggles for a very long time was finding really, really good graphic designers. Like I can find a million graphic designers instantly. Like I make one Facebook post, 200 DMs. But finding the one that you don't need to babysit and constantly tell what you need to do is
Yeah.
almost impossible. It's the hardest thing ever. Like, can you think for yourself? Can you like come up with the angles? Like, I'm hiring you to save my time, not for me to come up with everything for you.
Yeah, that's like, I think that's always such a battle when it comes to delegation. It's like, I'll be looking at, I got a really good copywriter in this year. He's an animal. This guy's a total beast. But I've also worked with a lot of copywriters, and a lot of times it's like, if I've got to go back and fix all of their work, then, and we're paying them, I'm just like, why don't I just do it on my own in the first place? I can do it on my own in a third of the time instead of trying to fix someone's work that's already kind of, not good. So yeah, you have this balance between do I want to just do it myself and do it efficiently, or do I want to delegate it? But if you can't learn to delegate it, you're never going to scale your business, which is kind of the problem there.
Yeah. What are the things and what's like the balance you look for when you hire people between like, okay, I allow this amount of time and energy to like train you, and when is it to like, okay, cool, this is too much right now, too much babysitting, too much editing, sorry, you're not a good fit. How does it work for you?
It's a tough question. I'd say a lot of it depends on like the stage of life the person is in,
Okay.
and also, um, well, I'd start with that. For example, if I'm hiring a salesperson, like if I'm hiring a closer, like we have a lot of pressure on our sales team. They've got to perform. They've got to bring in 150K a month cash collected.
Hmm.
Otherwise, if they don't make it in 60 days, they're out. So if I'm hiring a salesperson, I just want them to be good. Like yeah, we'll onboard them, we'll show them the script, but like I expect them to be a high performer from day one. If
Yeah.
they can't make it in 60 days, like we don't want to invest a lot of time into them until
Mm-hmm.
they've proven themselves. So for a role like that, also we have to spend 30 grand a month to fill their calendar. So, there's big opportunity costs there. So for
Yeah. Upper
salespeople, I
causes.
want to make sure they're just solid versus like if I'm hiring a copywriter, for example, you know, I don't really expect them to be like the next Gary Halpert in the next 90 days. I'm going to invest a lot of time into them, assuming they're like the right culture fit.
Yeah.
Um, I'm going to sit down and like do editing sessions with them, train them up. You know, I did one-on-ones with my copywriter. Like, I mean, we'd meet every day
Mm-hmm.
as a team, and I do one-on-ones with them to rip their copy apart at least like once or twice a week. So, um, yeah, it really depends on the role, I'd say.
Gotcha. Yeah, it was one of the things I struggled with a lot over these last few years because before I was just a solopreneur. Like I did everything myself, whether it's like funnel building, writing copy or design, cool, I'll do everything. But then, like you said, like it's so hard to like not immediately jump in and just like, okay, this is taking too long, let me do it myself. But I think that you're paying someone to do the job. So what's the point? But like you
Yeah.
said, like you cannot scale that. You cannot scale your own time and energy at one point. It's gone, which I find very, very interesting. So as a CMO, would you say that you are the main person looking at that, or is there someone else as well where you're like, okay, cool, like sales guy, is there something off here with the marketing? Like, are we getting the wrong leads maybe?
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to keep it pretty collaborative, for at least within leadership. You know, I'm never gonna let a sales guy, like one of the closers or the setters, say like, "Oh, the leads are shit," because like sales guys are always gonna optimize for themselves, and
Yeah.
if you run a business where your sales guys are telling you what to do as leadership,
Yeah.
that's a recipe for disaster. However, if it's like my sales director, like yeah, we talk every day, we're very collaborative. I want to know exactly what the salespeople are seeing because he's got more of an objective view on
Yeah.
it. And I'll ask the sales guys for feedback from time to time in terms of like, all right, what are you seeing? Which leads are closing? Which ones are not closing? Um, but yeah, I'd say within leadership, very collaborative. Within the team itself, not so much. So.
Cool. And when you jump into new companies, like let's say the first 30 days, what are the first things you look at? Like, do you immediately jump into marketing, or are you gonna look at the whole structure of the team and then try to restructure it, or are you going for quick wins?
I would say definitely quick wins, especially on a CMO deal. Like I don't do a lot of them. Usually I'll run one or two at a time. So there's obviously a lot of pressure to get wins, get results like early, Like
Yeah.
I ran email marketing client work for several years, and my goal was always like I want to get a 10x ROI on what I'm being paid like month one.
Yeah.
Now that's harder as a CMO, but I try to come in and just look for like biggest needle movers, like what can I do in the first 30 days that's just going to make us like a fuck ton of money, basically. What can I fix? So that's really where I'd start. I mean, I usually kind of scrap everything, to be honest. So that, or,
Yeah, there was a little bit of lag for like 5 seconds.
yeah, I come in, I kind of scrap everything. I'll rewrite the VSL, rewrite the ads, rewrite the thank you page, all the email automations. So there is a bit of a 2 to 3 week sprint to
Yeah.
just get everything to a good spot, but that's typically where I start. So.
And could you give an example of like a big needle mover? Like, what was the last one that you did for one of those companies?
Yeah, so I would say, like, for example, just reworking all the main marketing assets.
Mm-hmm.
Like sometimes I'll come in and I'll just look at a VSL and I'm like, the positioning is just off. You know, like if we sell to sophisticated investors, I'll be looking at a product like, let's say it's a done for you real estate offer. You
Yeah.
know, they're going to have to shell out a down payment. They're going to have to pay us 10 grand. Realistically, all in, they're looking at 40 to 50K up front. And
Mm-hmm.
their positioning in their ads and their VSLs is all like, here's how you can make, 10K a month in the next 30 days without any money down. I'm like, we need to not sell through a biz op type manner. We need to sell to sophisticated people. So I can come in, change the positioning, get the lead quality like much more dialed. Um, That's usually where I start. A lot of people mess up positioning from what I've seen.
Yeah. The way I was always looking at it was from like, and I kind of learned it from gaming, and like where you look at like the macro game and the micro game. And like the macro game is like the whole overview and what are the big things we can do. Like yes, maybe we can optimize some emails in a sequence. We'll get a few more sales there. Or we just restructure something in the whole automation and like where the lead flow and the opt-ins come from. And now that's like a 20% extra compared to like a 20% in one sequence.
Yeah, um, makes sense. One thing too, I mean, well, this is kind of related, but I'd recommend this maybe, on your team or on your clients. But if I'm like hiring someone, Cole Gordon actually did this with me. I think in hindsight, he didn't tell me this, but I'm pretty sure this was intentional. But a lot of times at closers, like, or in a lot of other companies, if you have like a new hire, a good test for them in the first 30 days is to like kind of give them a very large responsibility and just see how they execute. Like I remember when I joined closers, I had to make like a $40,000 buying decision on a software in like the first week. And and I was like, fuck, that's, I'm not really, for them, that's kind of nothing. They do like 4 to 5 mil a month. It's not really
Yeah,
a big
yeah, yeah.
deal. But for me, I was like, I have never made a, you know, $15,000 buying decision in my life. And I don't want to fuck this up. So I think it's good to like kind of test people out a little bit in that first couple months, just see how they think, see what kind of questions they ask, see how they problem solve. So
Yeah. What other things do you look at when you hire someone? Like, what are the tests you do? Do you maybe do like a specific trial? Do you look at their work ethic, the personality, the culture fit? Like, what is the most important thing you look at?
yeah, dude, that's funny. I actually dropped a post yesterday on this literal exact topic, but a couple main things. Number one is just hunger. Especially with marketers, like I feel like there's a lot of biz op marketers nowadays where it's just like their sole goal in life is just get to 10K a month. They want to make 10 grand a month. They aren't really interested in marketing. Like they don't enjoy it. They don't
Not for the
like it.
game.
Yeah, it's like for me, I think I want to see hunger. I want to see someone who's just like really interested and curious about marketing because it's like I'm sure you've seen this yourself, it's like someone's just not going to become like a really good marketer if they're not genuinely like very interested in it.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing. Second thing would be coachability. I think a lot of copywriters specifically can't take feedback.
So
Their
true.
ego gets hurt. Like you rip apart their copy and they're just like taking it as a personal attack. When realistically, it's just like that's the only way you're gonna get good at copy. If you don't have a CMO like just roasting you day after day,
Yeah.
like you're always gonna suck. So that is key. Um, I would say just general competence. Honestly, it's like you got to be able to meet deadlines. You got to be able to like submit your work on time. Um, like don't do dumb shit. It sounds obvious, but it's like this is a big issue I've seen from a lot of hiring a lot of people. Like for example, if you're doing like email marketing client work and your junior guy sends like the wrong link for another client, and like that can go really, really badly.
Yeah.
Avoiding dumb shit is very important. So I think those are kind of the main ones for me.
Yeah, it's funny that you mention that. Like, people laugh about it, but the amount of dumb little mistakes I've seen in the last 10 years, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. Like imagine if I mean, you're working with Alex Becker, obviously like massive following, tons of eyeballs. Like, what if one of your junior guys took like a post from Gary Vee and accidentally
Posted it
posted it
there.
on Alex Becker's page? Like, you just churned two clients right there that probably are paying you a ton of money. So,
It would be a funny story, like somewhere in the future, I would probably laugh about it, but in that moment, I would definitely not.
how is just curious? So, I mean, I feel like we've kind of followed a similar trajectory in some ways, but you mentioned sort of the transition from being a solopreneur to kind of now running your own business, doing really well for yourself, like how has that transition gone for you?
Um, the honest answer is that the last 10 years was a fucking roller coaster. Like, it was definitely a roller coaster. I've burned three proper companies that were all profitable. I built them up and I burnt them down. So that was huge. Several breakdowns, several burnouts. Definitely very hard. And I think personally, because I was a little younger and a lot dumber, it was like, okay, cool. I'm gonna make a lot of money, then I disappear, and then I enjoy just sitting at the beach for 6 months and I do nothing.
Nice.
There was never, in that moment, it was night after work, it's boring. It was never very consistent. Whereas right now, with like a wife, baby, like I settled down, it's like, cool, can I consistently grow and actually build a company? And I
Yep.
think that's a huge difference between this lifestyle business versus a company that is sustainable. Like right now, like I can postpone money, that is fine, as long as I build a business where I can like actually walk away for 2 weeks and nothing breaks, and the company is in the same place, if not better than before I left. So that's a huge goal. Whereas with most years that I worked in this space, the second I leave, everything falls apart. Like you can never take vacation. There's always work somewhere in the back of your head. So that's very, very hard.
Yep.
But I mean, the mistakes and all the fuck ups, like about all the dumb mistakes we were talking about, I made plenty of those as well. A lot of really dumb mistakes. And through that, I think you learn and get better. And that's how you can actually become an actual business owner rather than having a high paid job that you call a lifestyle business.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's,
100%. Those are I think it's funny how those transitions take place sometimes. Like when I was first getting into business with drop shipping, I was almost similar mindset to you. Like, I want to be able to go chill on the beach. I'm working this corporate job, then I'm working a sales job where I'm on sales for 12 hours a day. I'm just grinding my face off every day. And I'm just like, I don't really care about getting rich per se. I
yeah.
mainly just I want to be able to make money on my own terms. In my ideal world, I'd make like 20 grand a month and go
Mhm.
live on a beach in like Brazil or something. You know, that was kind of my mindset when I was just getting started. But then, fast forward a couple of years, I don't want to manage a team. I don't want to like delegate much. Just want to be a marketer, run drop shipping stores, make bank, work 2 hours a day.
Yeah.
But then a couple years later, it's just like, oh, if I don't make $1 million a month, I'm gonna hate myself. It's like it's crazy how that kind of shift takes place. But
Yeah, goals change, and also if you're in your 20s, in your early 20s, like the way you are at that moment versus how you'll be when you're like 25, 28, 30, 35 is going to be very, very different. Um, when you're younger, I truly believe that no matter what you tell them, they will not believe you. They're too stubborn to believe you no matter what. They need to like flush out the stupidity, and they
yep,
have their own thought process of how life should be or what life is. But afterwards, they can stabilize and they can probably learn what is actually important to them after a few mistakes and stupidity. But before that, it's just impossible. Uh, so I truly believe that the lifestyle business was my only goal in life. But after doing that for a few years, it was the most depressing thing ever. Like traveling all the time, flying all the time. I hate flying. I hate traveling. Let me be at home. Want to see my wife and kid. Want to play with my dog. That's all I need in life.
yeah, especially I mean I think it's cool when you're younger, but especially when you're married. I don't have kids, but I'm sure like having kids, traveling is gonna be not easy in that case. So,
No, it's not at all. Also, like when I look at some guys that are like 40, 50, they're still trying to travel and party, all I can think of is like, damn, it's kind of sad.
yeah, I mean, I guess you don't live in Miami, but I see that a fair amount here. I'll be having some conversation with some guy, and he's just sitting there like, oh, dude, I took this girl home last night from 11 at the club, and I'm like, bro, you're like 38, like, get married and like build a
Get your
family or
shit
something.
together.
You're acting like a 21-year-old. You're like 40. It's like happens too much here in Miami. So,
Yeah, I think there's the money part and the business part. I think a lot of men, well, not just person men, I think people in general, that they become very, very good at that. They understand what they need to do in business in order to make money. But in order to get to that point, they have neglected everything else. They've neglected their personal growth and their mental health. And by the time they realize, often it's not too late, it's never too late, but it's kind of late, like compared to what they should have done in a much healthier way. And I think partly of, at least from what I'm seeing, once they hit like 35, 40, there is this huge like, I think we can call it midlife crisis. A midlife crisis where they realize that the money and all this stuff doesn't really change their happiness. Like at one point, the car is just a car. The place is just it's just another place, just another roof above your head. Like you will get desensitized. It will not matter at all. Like whether it's a small place, whether it's a penthouse, you will feel the same. If you will feel like shit, if you are depressed, you're gonna be depressed no matter where you are. And there's a lot of other shit that money can never buy.
Yeah, dude, 100%. How do you, I mean, as like a married dude, having a family and stuff, but on the flip side, like having a rapidly growing business, which I'm sure you work like a lot, like how do you kind of find that balance between running the business while also, kind of holding it down at home?
There are definitely non-negotiables. Like my mornings and breakfast are just family time. Like 6:30, 10 a.m., those 3.5 hours roughly, nothing, just family. Then I just work my ass off till 5 p.m. roughly. Driver picks me up. I'll chat with him a little bit. Like I kind of decompress with him. We talk about whatever. By the time I get home, I leave my phone elsewhere. I don't touch it until she goes to bed. But afterwards, I'm gonna jump back in like the home office and I start working again. And besides that, of course, there are like specific like date nights, like activities that we want to do, or like with friends. That's all set, and the boundaries need to be very clear. Like I don't have time for other shit. Um, if I decide to like be friends with people, like okay, cool. Is this someone I truly respect and love to hang out with? Then I will maintain a relationship. If it's anything below that, there will be no contact. Like, that's it. Like everything needs a very solid priority list. And like if it's not a 10 out of 10, it's not worth it. And that's very simple. So it's not really about adding stuff, it's just very clear what are non-negotiables and what are the 100% no's. Um, that's that. Um,
Yeah.
but with that said, it is hard. It is very, very fucking hard. Um, like once you become a parent, like you'll realize all the things and like, oh shit, maybe I should have appreciated my parents a little bit more. There's a lot of stuff you don't see, a lot of things you need to do that you never thought about.
Yep.
But yeah, that balance between building a business and being there and being present for your family, um, it takes time. You're gonna mess up and you're gonna probably fail while figuring it out the first few times, the first 6 to 12 months. But also for me, like it took time. It was hard. Whereas right now, I feel great. Like it's a perfect balance. And the main thing I always tell people that I have never been at peace as much as I am today. Like no matter how bad shit goes wrong, no matter how much money I lose or whatever goes, like, whatever clients leave, life is always fine. Like everything will find its way. Um, Clients come and go, money comes and goes, but you have enough to take care of your family. You always have the skills, so you can always make more. You have somewhat of passive income with whatever other stuff you do. And at the end of the day, the only thing that really matters is seeing the people you love, spending time with them, and everything else is done.
Yeah, 100%, dude. Sorry, give me one sec. My
No
dog.
worries.
That Yeah, I think it's tough to manage a lot of times. Like I think something I find interesting
Mhm.
is what I look up to and who I looked up to has
Yeah.
changed like drastically in I'd say like the last 3 years or so. When I was 25, I just look up so like, oh, that guy's rich as fuck. It's like I want to be rich as fuck. Versus now, it's like I still want to be rich as fuck. Yeah, but I think I'll look up to I look up to guys like John Caprani at the time, or like Keith Dingler.
Yeah.
You probably you and Keith probably know each other. Basically, like when I see a guy who's like 40 plus, has like a solid family life, in great shape, and crushes it in business, like that, you just don't see it very often. It's not
Yeah.
like a common thing nowadays, in my experience. And I think it's just hard to do all those. Get that kind of trifecta. You've got good health, you're wealthy, relationships are good. You're not like I would take that, like not being super super rich, but like being well rounded, being successful in all three, over being the guy who's like worth $100 million, but like he's been divorced 3 times and like his kids hate him. He's like he's like diabetic at 40 years old, which I think a lot of people just get sucked into that rabbit hole of just like endlessly chasing money, which I respect that. Like, I think for me, I see money as almost like a measure of greatness in some ways. Like, it's your ability to execute, be good at what you do. But at the same time, if you like just disregard your marriage, your health, it's not really what I want personally. So
Yeah, I think for a lot of entrepreneurs that I know, they know what they want in the business. They have a vision, they have a long-term plan. But when it comes to their own life, they have nothing. Like life is a secondary thing where business is number one. But it should be the other way around. Business supports your life.
yeah,
Like, you shouldn't be the main driver for the business per se. Like it shouldn't be your only thing in life. And I think that's something where they keep wanting to scale and grow and grow and grow while forgetting everything else. Like you move up here, but you forget about everything there. But this thing is that is your life. Like you're missing out your life. And I think that like I do a lot of random coaching calls. For some reason, 20-year-olds love to talk to me. So I talk to them and just ask them like, what else do you want besides business? And they just go silent. They just sit there and like, oh, I don't know. Like, what would your dream life be? If I give you all this money right now, what are you doing next? Don't
never
know.
leave.
Yeah, like
Exactly.
what do you want out of life? Like how does it look like? But yes, you can grind right now. Like we're young, you can do 16 plus hours a day. But what is the next step? And then there is no next step. Like if you want a lifestyle business, yes, you can. But is it really a lifestyle business if anyone can call you up and you have to run back to your laptop? That's not really a business. I think
Yeah, that's
that's
like
very important.
that was a pretty kind of harsh realization for me this year. Like I said before, I kind of got into business for the freedom element of it. I'd love to wake up and go surfing every day, and work for a few hours, and that was kind of my initial goal. But this year, I was like, we're killing it. We're making $1.5 million a month. I'm, income goals wise, like I'm doing better than I ever have before. I was taking home like 50, 60 grand a month, like last couple months. Um, which you kind of reach a point where it's like, I'm not really into nice things personally. I don't care about cars or watches or like any of that shit. Um, it's like you're making all this money, but you also don't really need it. I don't need to make 60 grand a month to like enjoy my life. But
Yeah.
what I do need is, I need a little bit of time to myself. I need to be able to take trips, and if you're grinding like 80 hours a week and you can't, like, I enjoy traveling. Like, my wife and I went to Italy and Spain a couple weeks ago. It was a great trip. And if I can't, like, take trips and kind of enjoy my life and go train jujitsu, like, I'd much rather, I need to be able to enjoy my life outside of work. If I'm
Yeah.
only just one dimensional on money only, it's like, for me, I just don't like it.
Yeah,
So.
like what's the point?
Yeah. It's like, why do I don't need all this money, but I need a certain threshold. I don't want to be broke, obviously, but um, I also need to be able to do things outside of just like running ads all day, every day. So,
Yeah, I think the automating part is quite hard. Like automating and delegation. in order to like run that business in a sustainable way where you can like step away for a little bit, I very rarely see. Even the guys that say they do, and then I meet them either in real life or like I get to know them, like you don't have that. Like you sell that, but you don't have it yourself. I look
Yeah.
at behind the scenes, and if I start working with them, cool, I've got to see behind the scenes, like okay, show me exactly what is happening. There's no fucking way you do this in an hour a day.
Yeah, there's so
Uh,
much bullshit on the online space. Like I've done a ton of consulting over the last couple of years, and the way people portray themselves online versus how they actually are in reality is, I mean, I've met a couple people who are 100% legit through and through, but I'd say that's definitely the minority for sure.
yeah. Yeah, I think whenever I have like client calls, and with some clients I really become friends, like for years. I just talk to them and we just chat and like have quick catch ups. And I think one of the things I really appreciate about them and what I feel like they appreciate about me is just the transparency and honesty. Like when you fuck up or when you have fucked up, like there is no shame in sharing that. Like everyone just talks about it instead of like trying to keep up this perfect picture of yourself where you're always crushing it. And that's one of
Yeah.
my issues actually with all the nice stuff. The second you go too far with that, you always need to keep up with it. Like, there always needs to be a bigger toy somewhere. And
Yeah.
if you lose it, then everyone starts asking like, oh, where is it? And your whole life is just revolved around having these things that really don't matter. That's it's a very weird game that I never understood. Maybe just because I never cared about stuff. I just care about the experiences.
Yeah, I mean, you probably deal with this with your clients from time to time, but I see it a lot here in Miami because, I'll hear about numbers and stuff, but so many of these guys that aren't really good marketers, in my opinion, they aren't good at paid ads, but they are like decent at organic. It all
Mm.
comes from cars, you know? So they'll just buy these like just ridiculous cars, they'll have like five supercars. And then their overhead on monthly car payments is like 40, 50 grand a month in that range. And their whole brand is just kind of like selling to 18-year-olds, cars, dinners, watches. So their burn rate is just insane, you know.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they're only making like sub 100 grand a month, you know. Um, so they're making okay money, I'd say, but they're spending the whole thing,
Yeah, there's no
and it puts
runway.
a lot of pressure on them. So I don't know. It seems like a very unnecessarily stressful situation to put yourself in.
Yeah. I've seen it a few times with guys that I know, or well, kind of know, but they like you said, they do extremely well on organic, and they get banned for 1 or 2 months, and the whole business is just gone. Like there's nothing. Like how is that a business? You had an Instagram page. That's all you had. They're sitting there like, well, fuck it.
The cars have been retracted. So
Yeah. I could not live like that. Like where you know that every single month this is just set. Like you need to pay your 40K or whatever for a car that you drive twice a month.
yeah,
Makes no sense. Like give me the Toyota. Like that's all I need.
the Asian way. It's how we're built. So
But no, like I think for me my dream car is just a Lexus. I just want a Lexus. Like
yeah,
that's all. But yeah. Dude, one thing I was very, very curious about, like, you grew that company from like 0 to 1.5 mil a month in like under 6 months, right?
yeah, that's right.
How? Like, how did you do it? Like, what were the main drivers? Like, how did you do it at all?
Yeah, so a couple things that went into it. At a high level, I think the biggest thing that helped us. Also, I will preface by saying we built one company to 1.2 normal, and then we also built three others to like pretty low amounts, like 100K, 200K. Um, so that collectively was 1.5 mil. But I will say we succeeded really well on one company, and
Hmm.
we completely failed on six. You know, so I was kind of able to see the successes and the failures in that case. But in hindsight, I think the key needle movers were a few things. Number one is just like aggression, aggression on scaling. For us, every time something went well, we scaled. There was no hesitation. There was no, kind of getting scared about spending more money. It's like when things are going well, we double ad spend and we hire on the sales side. And it was just a never ending cycle of that for 6 months straight. So we came in month one. These guys, my business partners, they had actually dumped about 50K into ads the previous month and not closed a single deal. So we were
Shit.
already 50K in the red when I came in last November. We launched big, at $0 in revenue. We started at 1K a day in ad spend. Um, so that's like it puts a good amount of pressure on you, and we didn't close a single deal for 3 weeks. So we were
Nerve wracking.
71K in the red before a single dollar came in a 6 week time frame.
Yeah.
But I will give credit to the sales guys. They were very good at just PIFs. They're closed. We only PIF,
Yeah.
no payment plans, no financing. So
How much was it?
um,
Like 40, 50K?
we started at 15K
15.
for the deal, and then we added a second kind of option
Yeah.
that basically made the price point 35K, so between 15 and 35K.
Gotcha.
And we were just piffing those left and right. So our sales team lead, Cam, total G. He was very good at what he does. He really put the team on his back on the sales side. So we were able to turn the month around, get to like 105K month one,
Wow.
and we spent 21K because I needed a few days in the beginning of the month to like get the assets together and stuff. But
Yeah.
5x ROAS month one, kind of similar month two, but we were just taking the profits and like in I think we went from 1K a day to 2K a day overnight after about 45 days. And then about 3 months in, we went from 2K a day to 6K a day in ad spend, like overnight. And we brought on four new closers. Um, or no, three new closers. So we went 6K a day at four closers, which was just like ridiculous scaling. And then suddenly we were at like 700 grand a month. Next month we're at 1 million. So I think a lot of it comes down to like it's very easy in a business to you get to a couple hundred grand a month, you're profitable, you're still small scale. You have maybe two good salespeople, you got a funnel that's working pretty good at like 3 grand a day or so, 2, 3 grand a day. But like you have to just keep going and keep pushing and keep realistically like risking a lot of money. And a lot of times it won't work out, but for us, I think we did a really good job of hiring on the sales side. We were able to get six very high level closers in. So um, yeah, that's kind of the main stuff.
Shit. That's crazy. Like even the jump from like 2 to 6K overnight in ad spend, that's a scary move.
Yeah. And our cost per call doubled from 1 to 2K. Like when we scaled there, we saw no increase in call volume, which was stressful, to be blunt.
Yeah.
But
What was the cost per acquisition?
between 7 to 9K, an average upfront cash is 27K. So
Shit. I get excited hearing about this. This is really cool stuff, actually. Yeah.
yeah, especially for like your type of offer, I think if you can just get good at selling, like, dude, if you can sell at a 25K plus price point, you know, even on ads, obviously, like it's difficult bringing in these clients, but if you can afford like a 7 to 10K CPA, you're golden. You can pay a significant amount to acquire the client because if you're making 25K up front, you're still profiting. I mean, 7K CPA, 25K upfront cash, that's like close to a 4x ROIs. So, and
Shit.
in your type of work, obviously, like there's recurring revenue. So,
Yeah. Damn, love it, man. Um, Before we jump off, how can people hire you? Because I'm sure whoever watched this, like, shit, this is the guy we need. Where can I find you?
I would say best place to find me is on Facebook, Damon James on there. For me as a fractional CMO, I'll do a small handful of deals at any given time. So availability kind of depends on the month, but yeah, just hit me on Facebook and have to chat. So
Awesome stuff. Well, dude, thank you so much. Really, really appreciate it. It was very enjoyable, and also like I got so excited hearing about your numbers and the way you approached, and also especially like how aggressive your skill is. So thanks a lot, I really appreciate it.
Absolutely great catching up with you here. Great to hear you doing well. And let's do it again sometime soon.